broadcasting from deep in the Eublepharis galaxy, on a small planet called Geckonia, east of the Albino Hills and south of the raging Leucistic River, comes the one, the only Gecko Nation Radio.
Good evening, citizens of Gecko Nation, and welcome to another edition of Gecko Nation Radio. Today is December 21st, 2014. That intro always cracks me up a little bit and gets me in a good mood for the show. It's kind of corny, but it's kind of funny, too. And we thought about changing it a few times, but everybody seems to like it, so we'll just keep it. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Walt from Slice of the Jungle. What's up, Tim?
What's happening, Dave? Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. This will be our last show before the holiday. We're taking next week off, too, right? It'll be the last show before Christmas?
Yes, we are.
Right. Yeah, so I think tonight's show is appropriate. We never really did a show. I mean, of course, we've had women breeder guests on and prominent women in the gecko and reptile community on the show, but I think a show dedicated to the women in the gecko community is kind of cool. When you think of, I guess, your favorite women personalities or breeders in the community, Tim, what do you think of?
I think of the two ladies that we have on the show tonight, as well as Julie Bergman. And what about you?
Yeah, the same. I also think of Kelly Hammock. She's done a tremendous amount of awesome work with leopard geckos. And I think of Jessica Smith with her fat tails. She does a fabulous job with what she's working on. And we definitely have some great women breeders. And there's a lot of other smaller hobbyists that I think are great, too. A lot of them are in the group. Some are even in the chat tonight, Brooke. And, it's Elsa, of course. And, it's just great. We do have a lot of great women people, women breeders and women hobbyists. And I don't know if there's any kind of, difference, really. I mean, and that's what we're going to find out tonight. We're going to find out if there's any advantages or disadvantages to being a woman in the gecko world, and I think we have two guests on that'll certainly be able to, tell us how it is. And Marcia definitely has the history behind her. She can go back and tell us how things used to be compared to how things are now, and Rebecca's definitely a bit newer on the scene. So, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. What do you think?
Yes, and also one thing also I wanted to mention that we, when we were mentioning that we're not going to be on next week, so the next time we'll be having a show is right after the White Plains show.
Ah, okay, yeah, that'll be a good show, I'm sure.
So
yeah,
for anybody in the New York City area or people that'll be traveling, don't forget to stop by Dave's table. And I usually will be hanging out, bouncing around. If you want to see any of the geckos that I'll have available, I will be at John Heiser's table, which is right next to the Cutting Edge Herp table.
Okay, and that show is on Sunday, January 4th. Okay, folks, so mark it on your calendar. I think it's going to be a good show. Everybody will have their Christmas money to spend, I guess.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, cool. Well, before we get started, folks, I just want to definitely thank all the listeners out there and, of course, all the show's fans. And also, I want to thank our great sponsors. I'm going to play a sponsor plug now. You're going to hear some of our sponsors now and then some at the halfway point. Check them out.
Gecko Nation Radio is a David Fine Gecko's creation and production. You can visit the show's Facebook page at Gecko Nation Radio. I also have a great family-friendly group on Facebook called Gecko Nation. Apply for membership today. Gecko Nation Radio is sponsored by
Reptiles Express is the absolute best live animal shipping company with great low rates. Debbie is the queen of customer service and will make sure your precious cargo gets to where it needs to. They also have a wide array of shipping supplies from deli cups, snake bags, heat packs, and more. Visit reptilesexpress.com and become a member today.
Longhorn Geckos is a father and son collaboration. Daryl and Cade Burton specialize in the best Super Tangelos, Pastel Raptors, white and yellows, and really nice wild types. Follow them on Facebook at Longhorn Geckos and on their new website coming soon.
Ohio Gecko is famous for amazing tangerines, snows, and other very unique leopard gecko projects. Thad also has some incredible fat tail morphs available from stingers to starbursts. Visit him online at ohiogecko.com and at expos in the Northeast. He is also the owner of geckoforums.net.
Dale's Bearded Dragons is your one-stop source for any reptile supply products that you may need, from Exoterra, Zoomed, Rapashi, Repcal, Fluker, and much, much more, and all at 20 to 50% cheaper than your local pet store or big chain pet store. They are also the biggest reptile supply distributor at most of the Northeast expos. Contact them directly online at dalesbeardeddragons.com or message me on Facebook and I'll put you in touch with the owner.
Also, folks, keep in mind that there's a standard 5% off coupon code for EB Dragons if you want your dubia roaches from them. Use the code GECKO, all in caps, at checkout, and you'll get 5% off your order. All right, we are back. And let's see, wanted to mention something else before I forget. Oh, I totally forgot what it was. But anyway, all right, we got our we got our callers, and we got callers lining up in the room. And all right, that's cool. Well, what do you say we go ahead and bring on our guests? Oh, wait, I know what it is. We got to talk about that really important topic. Tim, why don't you mention it?
We would like everyone to direct their questions and comments and do their research on any issues that they might have or any inquiries that they have about their geckos, and go to geckoforums.net.
That's right, absolutely. And also, if you like what we do here on Gecko Nation Radio, definitely check out Herpentine Radio, which is our affiliate. And those guys do a great job. Also, they're on Blog Talk, too. They've been going strong for 3 years now, Justin and JD. So check them out. All right, cool. We're going to go ahead and bring on our guests, Marcia McGinnis of Golden Gate Geckos and Rebecca Hassler of Dragoon Gecko. Let's bring Marcia on first for seniority. Hi, Marcia. How are you?
Hi, gang. How are ya?
Doing good.
How's it going, Marcia?
That old gecko lady isn't there.
No. If she knows what's good for her, she won't molest us on this program.
Okay, cool. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm always glad to be here. You know that.
I know. All right, let's go ahead and grab Rebecca. Rebecca, all the way from Germany. It's like 2 in the morning. What's up, Rebecca?
Hey, everybody, and good evening. In my case, good night, but nice to be here.
Guten Morgen, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, he's been practicing for you.
Oh.
That's actually the only thing I really remember from taking German in high school, so, you know.
Okay.
Guten Tag and Guten Morgen, I know.
Yeah, I think we definitely have to practice a little.
I only know
not
the
enough to order some food in Germany, you know.
No, yeah. I only know all the curse words and dirty words.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that what people always learn? And the first thing they learn about in any language, other than their native language, the first thing they learn is how to swear in that language.
Oh, I'm so sorry to
true.
disappoint you, but I'm such a practical person, I love food. So the first thing I learn in every language is how to order food and how to pay it, because this is crucial. If you can order food, you can, endure almost everything. It doesn't matter.
Right, yeah.
Right?
And what if you wind up ordering something you don't like, or, that's a good point. You have to be able to order the right food. Yeah, that's important. It's funny. All right, cool. Well, I'm so glad to have you both here tonight. And as you know, tonight is a show devoted to women in the gecko community. And folks that are listening, we'd love to have you call in tonight with any questions or comments or discussion topics that you'd like us to touch on. And the number is 646-478-5331. All right, and if you put questions in the chat room, I may or may not see them because, it's kind of busy here on the screen. But it'd be great if you guys would call in. But, all right, why don't we start with, I guess one of the questions that I had for both of you ladies is, what is it like being, a well-known or prominent woman in the gecko community? And I guess, maybe we'll give this one to Marcia first, and then you can answer, Rebecca. So why don't you take that one first, Marcia?
And so how does it feel to be a female reptile breeder?
Well, it's more for geckos. How does it feel to be, I guess, like a prominent, figure in the gecko community, a prominent breeder, someone that's really done a lot for the gecko community?
Well, I think it feels really good, and I'm been happy for these last almost 20 years to contribute as much as I can to the gecko community, whether it be through, beautiful, healthy geckos or advice or comments or, anything of that nature. I've always been into education, but I don't really feel that being a female gecko breeder is any different than being a male gecko breeder.
How would you know?
Well, how would I know? Let's not go there.
Well, it's a good point, and that's kind of what I wanted to find out. Like, from a female's perspective, what's it like? What do you think, Rebecca? What do you see from your side of things?
I wanted to say exactly the same thing. I was so hoping that Marcia, with her tons of experience ahead, would, enlighten me what's the difference between a female and a male leopard gecko breeder, and I don't want to spoil the whole interview here, but I really have the feeling it's more based on your individual personality than really on the gender.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, this topic is ladies' night, so I think we'll try to go a little bit more into details here, but yeah. So
well,
sorry.
Can't you just can't you make stuff up say something like, well, when I bought all my initial stock, the breeders were really extra friendly to me and gave me a bunch of free geckos or something because I was a pretty woman or something
you
like
wish. Yeah, you wish that, David. It's hot. That would be easy.
No, that would be using one's gender in a manipulative way, and I'm really not. I'm just that's just not my scene.
I think we both are not that type of women. I'm sorry.
I don't differentiate. I think that as long as somebody is truly dedicated and has that passion and puts that out there to the general community, it doesn't matter. Including, well, okay, let's put it this way. A lot of the communication we've had within the gecko community over the years, before, Gecko Nation Radio was online. It was in the forums, and other than a name, I think that everybody, as you're typing away, there's really no differentiation in gender.
Mm-hmm.
When you're interacting with other people, it wasn't until people like you, Dave, and others who made it to where you could actually hear the voices of each other, and that's the only time it would really be differentiated, or either that or at a reptile show. Obviously, I'm a woman, and obviously Dave's at a show, and he's a man. So I really don't think that there's a whole lot of segregation or sexism or anything like that that's overt anyway. If there's covert stuff going on, then I'm not aware of it.
Right. I don't see any of that either. I don't see anything sexist or anything. And that's not really like what I was really going for with tonight. It was more, I don't know, it was just more from your experiences and just basically to hear what you had to say if there was anything that you've noticed. And like you said, there's really no segregation or anything, which is cool. And I guess, I don't think there's, as far as husbandry and as far as promoting and stuff, there's nothing really different about women in the community than there is with how men do things, right? Everybody kind of does things the same, or has their own little ways of doing things.
I think years ago, 20 years ago, when I became a breeder, actually I was a hobbyist breeder at that point, I think there was still a little bit of novelty in the fact that there were, women that were just seriously passionate about reptiles, and especially, in this case, geckos. People like Julie Bergman were one of the first pioneers for women in herpetoculture. I think I said this on one of the other shows. She taught me how to sex a leopard gecko.
Yeah.
So
we'll have her back on again in 2015. Yeah, that was a good episode
great.
with you and her.
And we've had some, we've had many years of, a very respectful professional relationship, but then it evolved into, a personal relationship, and I think it'll be that way forever. But I think there was a novelty, and especially, not so much within the community itself. When I would tell people that I was a gecko breeder, they would say, "What? What?" But you're a woman, kind of a thing. Yeah. So,
that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of women are squeamish around reptiles. There are some from what I've seen, and it seems like today there's a lot more women that are getting over those fears and keeping reptiles as pets. Would you say that that's true, Rebecca? Would you say that women are kind of getting over the fear of snakes and lizards and stuff? And it's always kind of been in the past. It's been more men that have kind of embraced this kind of thing, but now it seems like it's leveling off. There's just as many women as there are men. What do you think?
Definitely. I have the feeling that during the last years when I visited the reptile shows and was watching the scene, I had the feeling that there were constantly more women around. Obviously it has something to do with that, the marketing gets better. Our scene has been always a very small one, and I think it has a lot of, I can't help myself but feeling that it has more to do with the advertising and the marketing of the products. The women have more, a feeling for design and style, and they require a little bit of, of such, while men are more, I feel, the practical persons that, don't mind having any kind of wreck or tank into their room as long as it, fits their needs. And I have the feeling, and I count myself in there as well. I also, I also have to like it and look at it without, being, mad or something. I think the whole product involvement has seen a lot of improvement during the last years, which makes products for reptiles and therefore also reptiles more attractive to women. So I think it's more of a marketing niche, and I think personally many companies, I'm just a hobbyist, so there's nothing that I can do. I'm just breeding on a small scale. There are not so many people that know me, besides the ones that maybe, listen to Gecko Nation Radio or see some of the free articles that I provide. But this is just for me as a vet student. I feel the need of giving something back and educating people, and I can't help them all personally. I find, due to time reasons, I find this a more practical way. So, this is all I can do. But I think that, the professional breeders as well as the people or the companies providing the products for the reptiles themselves are just starting or in the process of discovering a new market niche that is totally, new and open for everyone still, because there are so few products that are, designed with, real, style. So they're all practical and perfect, and I have many products that I use and love to use, and I don't want to say anything, against them. It's just that I have the feeling that there is a lot of more, or there would be a lot of that there would be a whole new market niche if companies would, take this into consideration. That maybe it's just the design. That maybe some people are struggling to buy a reptile because they can't find the equipment they like to see for price they can afford.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, and I think that's true. I think a lot of women first find, reptiles by buying their children a pet, and then they kind of go on from there and start appreciating them. But that's just, I'm not saying all of them are like that, but I think a lot of them find it that way. But when I'm at a reptile show, it seems to me that there's just as many women there as there are men, and it's kind of equaling out, which. Great.
And their children too, which are the future herpers. So you're seeing not only just a stereotypical type of person, like back in the early '90s. I mean, owning reptiles was considered to be a really exotic and thing. I mean, it was like people raised their eyebrows when they said, that they kept reptiles. And it was stereotypical here in the U.S. anyway, at least in my area in California, and people always associated, and again, it's a stereotype thing where they always associated, biker guys with tattoos all over their bodies, and, and those are the guys that, like reptiles. Well, that's not the case.
And that's not how it started, anyway.
No, but what I'm saying is that was the stereotypical image of reptile keepers, and then people were thinking, oh my gosh, people actually breed them. Well, yeah, Of course we do. We don't, But I think that's gone now. You see all kinds of people that are interested in reptiles, and especially geckos. And I know people, many. Some of them are my children, and my husband, and my grandchildren, who, they just don't, it doesn't float their boat. It really is not something that, but they like to brag about their grandma who's, a reptile breeder. And then people go, whoa, your grandma breeds reptiles? Wow, that's pretty cool. But I've known people who don't like reptiles. They have, for whatever reason. I think it's a learned behavior. I really don't think that we're born with an inherent fear of reptiles. I think that we learn it, from our parents as little children. That might bite you, and you always think of venomous. But even people who don't like per se reptiles in general will get over it when they see a leopard gecko or a crested gecko. They get over it. When they see how personable and beautiful and, what character that each of these individual animals have, and those eyes, and you just melt. So even people who were, bona fide, anti-reptile people have come around with the introduction of this, those main species, which would be leopard geckos, crested geckos, and maybe even fat-tailed geckos. They finally broke out of their preconceived notions and just said, "Oh my gosh, they are amazing! One of the best pets I've ever had, or my kids have ever had. And so it's and Rebecca hit on this in her last part of her conversation, was that the education part of it. I think that a lot of it is from lack of education and misinformation that is, we're still fighting it. Look at what U.S. ARC does for us every day. I mean, people are still got this thing in their head about, reptiles. But when people like Rebecca writes her articles and she posts pictures and she shares her knowledge and the beauty of her animals, and with me, I give talks at shows. I've written articles myself. I think that educating people has and will be the one thing that really makes the difference.
And that's a good point. And Rebecca, do you think, from your perspective, and I know in Germany things may be slightly different, but what do you think the overall image of gecko owners or even the reptile community is to people that don't own reptiles? What do you think our image is out there right now?
I'm afraid it's not the best image right now. I make the experience that, and this is what the saddest point, that not the general public has gotten a bad picture of the reptile community, but also the authorities. Many veterinarians and many people that work in the reptile stations, if you talk with them, and I'm studying veterinary medicine, so of course I'm interested in, getting the latest results, going to official veterinary conferences about exotic reptiles. So I want to stay updated, and there I meet those people, and of course I'm always happy to get in contact with them and ask them, and I get the feeling many are frustrated. Of course there are, and this is a fact. From their perspective, they are getting a lot of animals that need to be rehomed because the owners, purchase them and then decide after a half year or a year or another they don't want to care for them anymore. But I think, on the other hand, we have to see the reptiles, the numbers in comparison to other numbers. I don't want to excuse anything here. There are and will be always people that we don't want to see as reptile keepers. There are many people that in our hobby today that you, David or Marcia, would agree with me that we all of us 3 persons would never consider to sell one of our animals. And and we don't do it, but if you want to purchase a gun, you can get one sooner or later. If you want a gecko, maybe you won't get one from me and from you two guys, but if you're looking around, you'll find one sooner or later. So, there is no safe way. We are living in the real world. There is no way you can force everybody, to do exactly what you predict, whether it's your best intention or not. So I think there will be always people that, don't let our hobby shine in our best light, but there are always people like here tonight on this show, or so many other listeners out there who are really passionate and considerate and really, worried about their animals. Whenever there is something wrong, they're taking them to the vets and so on and so forth. And what I want to say is that, of course, I can understand those people when they say, there are so many animals that we get back. People shouldn't be keeping reptiles at all. We are getting them back in so great numbers. But on the other hand, how many dogs and cats and horses are looking for
Very
new homes?
good point.
This
Very
is happening
good point,
all
Rebecca.
over again. How many children are neglected by their parents? I'm sorry. This is happening over and over again. It's not new, and it will never be old, and it will always be a topic, concerning our society, that there are people in this world who don't consider a human life or another life, an animal, as important as their own. And they will always do things that we don't appreciate or that we don't agree with. However, I don't think it is really fair for all the wonderful people in this hobby, and for all the children that can really benefit from having a reptile as a pet, or the many people like me that grew up with it. I mean, I have made so many wonderful experiences about life, about valuing life and valuing nature and understanding ecosystems just from keeping those animals and sharing this joy with others and having parents that really believed in me and that supported me. And if I wouldn't be able to taking care of the animal, they would have stepped in. I mean, you have to give people a chance. If we are living in a worldwide society, in brackets, so to speak, that, wants to control everything, and we are not allowed to do anything anymore just because one person or two person might do something that we would never do. I don't think this is fair, and I don't think that society can live this way. There has to be a possibility for us keeping and enjoying our reptiles as our pets. And what I also really, sorry for a long speech, and a point that is really bothering me really, really much, and I think is so important to speak it out. We have in Germany especially some animal protection groups that are arguing that reptiles are not domesticated animals. I'm breeding leopard geckos for not so long. If you compare it to horses or cats or dog breeds, my animals are, and everybody that has animals from me, and 90% of other leopard breeders alike will agree here that you can selectively influence the character, the behavior of the animal, and my animals are so tame. They are born and they stick on your hand. They don't show any reactions. They trust you right from the start. So I see the same happening when I talk with snake persons, with lizard persons. Some monitors are really, really adaptive, and really clever. So this process of domesticating has already started. It has already, begun a long time ago. I don't know what's the point of trying to ban reptiles as an argument by claiming they are not, domesticated, or they can't be domesticated. They are. It's already happening right now. There's enough evidence there to prove it. I don't see the point in here. I'm sorry. So,
well, I agree with you.
Let me ask you guys,
I totally agree. I'm sorry, Dave.
Let me ask you about this. No, that's all right. Let me ask you about this. How many years of captive breeding or selective breeding does it take for an animal to be considered domesticated? Is there a time frame, or is it a public perception?
No, there's not a time frame. It depends on the individual animal and their level of intelligence and their inherent ability to interact with a species other than their own.
Well, then who decides when they're domesticated or not? Who makes that decision?
Well, okay, let me just put this out there. How many people...
Because I agree with Rebecca.
Yeah, I do too. Very much so. How many people keep aquariums and fish?
Right.
Very expensive fish. Are they considered domesticated because they're in a tank? Or not?
Point.
Why is that okay and it's not okay for other animals? Every single animal we have today in our lives, whether it be of a pet nature or of a working nature, or even, I hate to mention it, but even as a source of food,
right,
was domesticated at one point.
Well, because of all the different colors and patterns that are so far from what a normal gecko would let's take leopard geckos, for instance. There are other species that we can't talk about as far as domestication in this matter, but as far as leopard geckos go, the ones that many of us work with are so far from what they naturally look like. Now, to me, cows that are bred for milk and food don't look anything like the wild. What are they called? Yaks or whatever. I mean,
water buffaloes or yaks or other. Right, exactly. But yet, people in China and northeastern Asia, But still, they have domesticated their bovine, indigenous bovine animals to the point where they are. I mean, they don't come up and, play with you or come when you call them. Well, some do. They don't roll over and do tricks and stuff like that, but they are domesticated in that they over the time that human beings have interacted with them for whatever purpose have become tolerant at first. And then, as time goes by, I would consider them domesticated. In other words, they are comfortable interacting with a species other than themselves.
I would just like to step in here for a second and make it very clear, and I think I can speak for all of us here, that none of us, has anything against a respectful and handling of those animals, and we all would love to see, all the animals in the scene in responsible hands. So I'm sure you, David, and also Marcia, you've contributed already so much as a person to this hobby. We were both on Gecko forums, and I've watched your posts, and I've learned so much from you, and you were one of the persons, to support literally everybody looking for help, and so I think I find it really fair and important to say here that we all here love and deeply care for our animals, and we would never ever, want to stand in the way for any useful regulation or any useful process in making this hobby more responsible. But on the other hand, if we compare the statistics, at least in Europe, reptiles do make such a small percentage in all the animal shelters compared to dogs and cats. So I really think that it is we should, see it from the realistic perspective and not so much listen to people that abuse reptiles for their need of, political power, influence or whatever, and turning, a leopard gecko into a matter of hysteria. There are so many non-venomous and really nice and calm and gentle species that can be handled without any consideration from a respectful person. So, from the veterinarian standpoint, I would really, really love to see, a little bit more diverse or,
I have a question
a standpoint
for you.
from a loving eye, not only seeing the bad side of it, but seeing so many people here. I own some of my leopard geckos longer than I own my own dog. So who decides how dear this gecko is to me and how much damage it would do if you take it away from me? And also many other persons.
I think it boils down to one word: ignorance.
I'm not sure. I can see that many of the problems are caused by the media, and I can see that some of the points that are in discussion right now definitely need to be talked about and need to be addressed. Okay. However, I think, and I really, that this would be my personal feeling, and I don't want to provoke anybody here in this video, in this interview. I just, this is just my personal feeling as a reptile owner and lover and as a student of veterinary medicine. I would just love to see that there will be a possibility for our whole scene, to evolve to a higher level. And I would really love for the authorities to see the persons who really doing their job and love their animals, just to see them with a more loving eye. As for the persons that they are, loving pet owners we are not monster keepers. We are keepers of our pets.
Beautiful, beautiful, gentle creatures.
Yeah, that's what they are, and they're so tiny. I mean, my cat could cause more damage than one of my leopard geckos if it escapes. I mean, this is what I would like to, pass to the people out there, and I think on the other hand, I mean, we also as a scene need to take this, points very serious and have to think about how we can change this image that we are all going through, and it begins with every one of us, everything you write on Facebook, everything you do. You can't just stumble into the hobby, acquiring tons of animals and then wonder why people will think bad of you. This is not the way it should be, and it's not the right way with dogs and cats and many things in life, and it certainly is not the right way of starting with reptiles. So please be aware on your own part in the gigantic puzzle, of our hobby. So everybody counts. Everybody can
make a difference. You're right, Rebecca. Absolutely. Every single one of us counts.
I agree. And why don't we take a phone call? We have Gecko Nation Radio's biggest fan, Elsa, on the line. Elsa, what can we do for you tonight?
I was wondering, Rebecca, is anybody in the United States working with your lavender project?
Not yet right now. I'm afraid. No, as I said, we're so small and, have not, really released any of the lavender stuff, at least from the projects that we work with currently. So, right now there is none.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Elsa.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that the people don't realize, and I have to deal with this myself with my European customer base, is that the expense to get geckos to and from Europe is tremendous.
Well, I mean, I think it's
not really.
Better.
It depends.
It doesn't have to be, but it is.
Well, I just shipped geckos to Rebecca, and what did it cost? $50 per gecko?
Yeah, I think it's manageable if somebody really wants.
I agree. I agree. I think that when you sit and spell it out, that what we're doing is we're booking space on a jet that is an international jet, and that is not cheap. I mean,
it costs more to ship to Canada, to tell you the truth.
I would like to add here that the more important thing maybe when we're talking about money, I think, and about the scene and responsibility, I think many people underestimate how much it really costs to run a good breeding, even as a hobby breeder. It does not make sense, to start and then, realizing a half year later you don't have the money for doing this. I mean, nobody of even the professional breeders can get rich and driving his, 5 cars or something. I mean, this is, and for the hobbyist breeder like me, it's like, I mean, I can be happy if I can cover most of the expenses, because we do regularly health tests on all the animals. I mean, from my background, it's the only way I feel comfortable with, and so this does cost you a fortune. I mean, testing the animals on a regular basis is really, really expensive, and you have to do so many things, and you don't get anything back in financial terms so often. So it is really, for the love of the animals, and if you don't really love what you're doing, you're better off working at McDonald's or something.
Yeah, right.
Okay, no, I'm making, advertising here.
No, I understand, but
and I'm not getting even paid for it. Oh no.
But Rebecca, for us to ship, okay, I live on the West Coast in the San Francisco Bay. For me to ship a gecko to Pennsylvania, where let's say I'm just using that as an example for David, depending on the box size and weight, could be cost upward of $60 to $90.
Yeah,
just to ship from one side of the country to the other. And so if we can get animals to Europe for $50 to $75, that's about what we pay for domestic shipping.
But I use Western Express, and they're the cheapest around.
I think
service, so.
Really, most of the breeders I know also, cover a part of the shipping cost themselves to make it even possible. So it's not self-understanding to do this hobby and getting a financial return. In my case, I have not seen it because, Marcia, you will agree here, racks are so expensive, terrariums are so expensive if you build them, and you have to, make sure the animals are getting the clinical vet visits when they need it to. This can be very costly.
And feeding costs. So, I don't know what is involved in Europe in feeding costs.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
But at my peak, when I had over 300, 400 animals that I needed to feed, I was spending at least $300 a week on
that's
feeding.
it. One gecko obviously doesn't cost a fortune. Yeah, and that's the point exactly here. One gecko does not cost you a fortune, but a large collection does, and many people that I see in the hobby are literally rushing into it. They are buying so many animals, and this might also be a fact that people are seeing or seen with some criticism. Honestly, most of the people, when I was stepping into the hobby as a teenager myself, were just the normal keepers. They had 1 or 2 or 3, and that was it, a very small collection, and they enjoyed them and, just handled them as their pets, and now everybody's rushing into breeding, and I don't want to discourage any future breeder here. On the contrary, but please, we are all here to help you out in this. We have made the experience how costly it can be, and what stages are more likely in a breeder career to cost you more or whatever, and what can happen if you're not experienced, you're making mistakes. So of course this is also a reason why the first years are much more of an investment than later years, but still you have regular costs, and you cannot really
be a realistic approach. And when you're coming into it, like when I did, there was nothing to compare it to. We didn't even have the internet, or very few people had the internet.
Yeah, so I think this would be my tip for the future, and as this is a ladies' night talk, I really want to draw back the topic on the team. I want to encourage all the men and women that are interested in our hobby and are already in the hobby to please be aware on how your actions not only affect you, but also in financial terms. Getting 50 geckos and then needing to take them all to the vet can be really frustrating experience, and sometimes more than a person can handle. So please do your research and don't hesitate to ask people and listen to the show and share the knowledge, and make sure to do your part as well, so we can all enjoy this hobby for hopefully a long, long time.
Bravo. Very well said, Rebecca. Very well. That was, you're absolutely right. And there are people out there like Rebecca, myself, David. Look what David has, contributed to the community, not only by his presence on Facebook, but on this very radio program. He's giving back to the community. Oh, hush.
Absolutely.
And bringing people on to hear different perspectives on things. This is education, and this is something, and I just hate to go say how it was in the olden days, but we had no way to research. myself, when I started out, I made so many mistakes. And some of them were very tragic because there wasn't the resources. There were not the resources online or especially on the radio or anything else for us to, refer to. We went by gut instinct. Fortunately, gut instinct, prevailed over inexperience and ignorance. But the thing is that there is no reason, none today, why any new person into this hobby and potentially into the business can't utilize the resources that there are out there, not just in forums, not just on Facebook, but voice to voice, like what Rebecca is doing tonight and how she's expressing her feelings and her passion. And myself, I have always prided myself in the fact that I'm accessible.
Yeah.
And I think that is important. And if we can utilize, that experience and that accessibility, the future of this hobby can actually do a turnaround. I think the problems that we experience are there are so many controversial or ambiguous information out there, and it takes a while to sort it out to see which one works best or makes the most sense or whatever. But it is only through teaching, sharing information, and being accessible that we can help the people that are coming on board now. Because you know what, I'm retiring. I think the world knows that. And I'm not saying I'm the only person in the whole world, that can give the proper answers or anything. But I'm going to be less accessible as time goes by. And so I think it's important for people to buck up and rely on the people like Rebecca, myself, David, and I can name a bunch. Julie, for example, she's written books and articles. She is a plethora of information, and she's very accessible. There are people out there who care deeply, not just, oh my gosh, my sales are down this month. They actually care. They care about the animals.
It's passion.
They care about the people
a lot of us are looking for ways to share our passion for this, and and the way to do it is to help others. To teach others. A lot of us are teachers, and we want to teach others how to do this the right way. We do have a lot of great people coming into this, Marcia, like you were saying. I can see new breeders starting to come up through the ranks.
I get excited a lot of times when I start dealing with somebody who's newly embracing, the gecko community, and they're not just out there on an acquisition, quest to have one of every color, one of every morph, and one of every, and then all of a sudden they haven't even kept a leopard gecko, much less 30 or 40 very expensive ones, and then breeding season hits. And, they haven't thought through, first of all, how am I going to house them? How am I going to feed them? How am I going to take care of all of these creatures? And then on top of that, what am I going to do with these animals when the market out there it appears to be so saturated, which it is? And how do new people glean the information of the respectable people that are passionate, that have good ethic, who truly care about the animals and the community that keeps them. It's hard.
I think this is a very, very important point, Marcia, that you just said. And I want to stress this point again for all the people who are considering, breeding. I know breeding can be one of the most, delightful experiences in your life.
Very rewarding.
Being responsible and very rewarding. On the other hand, we have the problem for some years, and now, we are raising the tip of the iceberg. I feel that the market is saturated completely, which makes, the prices for the animals drop, and this is not bad for the breeders, but bad for the animals, because I made the experience that for many people, an animal, and this is not just for reptiles, for many people, an animal is worth what they pay for. And I mean, many people will now, jump in and scream, no, it's not me. Yeah, of course, maybe it's not you. But if you're working in the field of animal health care, and you're talking with people who do and who did so many years ago, you will get the same feeling and answers over and over again. So it is a common problem in society. So no criticism on a single person here. That, of course, it's easier to acquire an animal than, paying the bills on the constant health care. And I know that. And it's not, said now in a way to criticize people, but we have to be aware of that. Talking again about responsibility as male and female breeders alike. So I think there is always, a smart way doing things, and certainly you as a person interested in breeding can do so. And the smart way to do, at least that's what I would do if I would start all over again, would be, to contact a serious breeder and ask him for his advice how you can manage, and he will give you some tips in detail about how many animals are safe to produce in the first year or second year, how you can evaluate and check for yourself if you are getting the feedback from people, so you can be sure to place every animal in the right responsible hands, and that's the way to do. So you can be and become a successful breeder in the future. It's just about how to do it. And the question, if every new breeder that wants to step into the hobby really needs to breed 100 geckos or more a year, I mean, this is totally crazy, and this is totally beside the point of breeding. Breeding is improving. Breeding is about quality and enjoying life. How can you enjoy life if you're totally overwhelmed by, feeding and caring and housing for 100 young, if you just have the capacity to care for 2 or 5? I mean, this is what we have to consider, and this is what we have to address. We want new breeders in the hobby. We certainly need new people in the hobby. We welcome everybody who loves these animals and wants to care for them. But if you're thinking about care, then please also care for your breeder females. Care about the stress you put them in. If you,
and the males too, Rebecca.
Use them like laying
people
hens.
Don't realize how much stress the males are under during breeding season as well.
This is why I separate them, and this is why not every. I mean, this is actually why I have so few offspring every year. While I on the same side and on the same side had at least in the last years more breeders than I had young every year, because I wanted every female to have a break every second year. They are not laying hens. They are not chicken. You abuse
they're not.
For
they're not factories. They're not.
They are my
we are
pets.
not. We are not. We are not gecko mills.
Yes, exactly. And as a hobbyist breeder, I do not depend on selling a gecko. I'm sorry. And this is why people get frustrated if they think I depend so much on the 50 euros that I need to sell to them if they just say yes.
If I depended on how much money I made in the last 20 years as a gecko breeder, I would have jumped out years ago.
Yeah, me too.
That was not my motivation.
Not something that, is is about the income, because there is no income otherwise. Yeah.
But I think, Rebecca,
cool.
people see on other people's websites or Facebook pages or online someplace, they see how the price tag on these geckos.
Do they see the thousands of euros you have to pay into them every year?
But they don't think that. They think, oh my gosh,
that many people,
I can make that money.
Yeah, and let's talk about professionality. I mean, I was criticized that my homepage looks so professional, and this really hits me so hard because this homepage was built many, many years. It's a work in progress for many years, and my friend Martina and I, we have done literally 90% everything ourselves, and we had a very nice friend who, donated the homepage service, putting our ideas online for us, but all the rest, all the texts are from me, the pictures are from me, the geckos are bred by me or purchased, for, from serious breeders for, a good amount of money. So this is all hard work, and I did it, also to, I really had the dream or the vision of using the results of my breeding for later, final exam. And this is now all, I'm not sure, also, I mean, so many things in life can change, and you cannot always count on people like Marcia or Rebecca or David or whoever, to do the job for you. I mean, I don't know how long I, will be, even keeping geckos, because the situation is sometimes getting crazy, and if people are criticizing you for doing your job in a good way, it is getting so frustrating that you might think at one point or another, okay, maybe, I don't know, if it's worth it anymore.
You don't think like that. Stop that. I don't like hearing that.
I just want to express that many people,
I agree with David. Rebecca,
and
you and I need to talk, okay?
let me tell you something.
No, don't worry. It's all right. But it's just, we all are in this together, and we all play our part in, how this hobby evolves and carries on for the future. So and nobody of us, including me, can count on everybody else doing the job. There can be also, dramas in life. There can be sicknesses, allergies, illnesses, losses of home, whatever that may lead to the decision to step out of the hobby. So
oh my gosh,
if one or two persons like us are doing the job and everybody is just listening, we are not coming any further. So the main thing of all of us people here, wasting their time for free, is that the hope that some people here, might find this useful and educational and open their hearts for a change and step into and follow.
That's why we're still on the air. We have hundreds, and I would even think thousands of people are listening regularly now, because the downloads are just racking up big time.
But they will. They will. But I want to stop, and I just want to stop for a second, David. I want to stop for just 1 second.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Let me stop everything right now, just for a second.
Okay.
And this is for all the listeners and people that will be listening when they download the podcast who are not listening live at this moment. I want to ask you all to search yourself in your own hearts, in your own minds, and answer the question, are there breeders out there that are passionate, that care and love their animals, and care and love the community that supports the things that we love? That's all I want you to do, is stop and ask yourself, if at this very moment, whenever you're listening to this, to stop for a second and listen to what David says and what he has and is doing for this community. To stop for a second and really not only just listen, I mean, to hear. Hearing is one thing. Listening is when you take it to heart. To listen to what Rebecca is saying about what does it take, to be a breeder. I want you to stop and listen to what I have to say, too. And that is that if I were in this for money, if I were in this for any other reason, would I still be around?
Right.
I just want to kind of just throw that out there. Can you people hear the passion and love in Rebecca's voice?
I know. She's definitely got it.
Can people stop and realize and really understand what David is providing this community?
Well, Marcia, I'm not good with flattery, but I appreciate. I know what you're saying.
Wow, I'm really into tears right now.
I
do this really
because
emotional.
I love it.
But that's the spirit of Christmas. I totally love it, and I want to thank you both so very, very much. And it's a really special and great honor doing this show with Marcia. As she is my role model and always has been, and I wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for her and Kelly and some other great, male and female breeders alike.
So if you're thinking about whether to do business with a male or a female breeder, which is kind of going back to the beginning of this, I think and I hope that all of you listeners and all of you people that will be listening to the podcast when they download it can really take to heart everything that Rebecca is saying, everything that I have said, and the platform in which we can express that through through Gecko Nation Radio because of David's love and passion.
Well,
that's what it's going to take, people. That's what it's going to take.
You got to give credit to Tim and Steve because they're a big part of the show too. So
absolutely, I can't name everybody, but forgive me, but you're there. Those people are there. Absolutely.
Well, I'll keep doing it as long as I can, and I feel it's important, and I also feel like, as much as we have a lot of listeners and a lot of downloads, I have a feeling this resource is going to be appreciated even more years from now when it's over and done with. People are going to want to go back and going to want to hear this history, and we're actually documenting history right now and what's going on during this time.
Absolutely, and you know what? I'm speaking from an old lady. Okay, I mean, you guys all know I'm old. Okay, I'm old. I just, by the way, have. Well, shut up.
You're overpowered, David. The women take over now.
A cougar would mean that I'd be willing to support you and your whole gecko project just for being seen with hanging on your arm or whatever. But no. What I'm trying to say is that I just became a great. I love you too, David, but I just became a great grandmother. What this means,
congratulations,
is that my oldest granddaughter is now a mother. And I have my first great grandchild that was born 3 weeks ago last Friday. And I, instead of being ashamed or embarrassed about my age or, being in this business for 20 years, or it doesn't matter, I am thrilled and blessed beyond words to be able to experience the things I've experienced in my life. And one of the biggest and most important is my love and passion for the geckos and for the other people that are listening, and David and Rebecca, and everybody else involved in this radio program. I couldn't be more honored to be a part of that. And that's when you're thinking about getting into a leopard gecko business, that's what you need to focus on. More than anything, knowledge. Knowledge.
Yep. Absolutely.
Very
I know,
well
Rebecca,
said,
you said,
Marcia.
I know it's very late for you, and I know you said you wanted to give us an hour of your time. Did you want to stay on, or did you want to get going, Rebecca?
I'll stay on. It's my Christmas present to the Gecko Nation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yay! Yay! Don't go to bed yet.
I'll have to get up early tomorrow. I'll be totally crushed.
Well, that's
anyway.
tomorrow. That's after you wake up. We're talking about now.
All right. Well, let me play a quick sponsor plug, and we'll come right back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hang tight, folks.
Gecko Nation Radio is a David Fine Geckos creation and production. You can visit the show's Facebook page at Gecko Nation Radio. I also have a great family-friendly group on Facebook called Gecko Nation. Apply for membership today. Gecko Nation Radio is sponsored by Gecko Boa Reptiles, is your source for the highest quality leopard gecko morphs and wild types, from white and yellows to radars, amazing tremper morphs, and rare subspecies. John is a world-class breeder and extremely knowledgeable. If you're looking for something truly special in geckos, contact John Scarborough at geckoboa.com and on Facebook.
Rainbow Mealworms is the largest worm grower in the world and selling to the public since 1956. If you need the highest quality mealworms, superworms, and crickets for your pets, contact them at www.rainbowmealworms.net.
Ron Tremper is the biggest contributor to leopard gecko morph making, known worldwide for his amazing examples of living art. You can now download his Leopard Gecko Care app, his Morph Encyclopedia app called Leopard Gecko Pro, and visit his site, leopardgecko.com, to see where morphs are made.
Supreme Gecko is a great source for crested geckos, day geckos, and other species, including micro geckos. Wally Kern is a top-notch breeder and gecko enthusiast. Visit supremegecko.com for his available animals and supplies.
abdragons.com is your source for the highest quality dubia roaches. Whether you're starting a colony of your own or just need feeders for your insect-eating herps, abdragons.com can't be beat in quality or price. They are also a huge distributor of FlexWatt reptile heat tape and have very competitive pricing. Check out abdragons.com online and on Facebook.
All right, folks, we are back, and we're back with Marcia McGinnis of Golden Gate Geckos and Rebecca Hassler of Raccoon Gecko. Welcome back, ladies. Wow, we really talked about some really serious, passionate issues in the last hour of the show, and I'm thinking we go for another 20 minutes or so, and let's talk about some fun stuff. Rebecca, why don't you tell us, give us any of your fun experiences that you've had so far with your geckos and your gecko operation?
Funny experience.
Oh my God! It would take more than 20 minutes.
I love this hobby so very, very much. I mean, yeah, honestly, I really need to say that I feel deeply blessed to have a lot of nice colleagues in the German reptile scene, and in the last years we have really, come together more closely, and most of them are men, and I'm probably the only woman in the club that is a breeder, herself, but yeah, there might be a few others. If I forget them, I'm really sorry right now. Don't feel offended. I'm just also getting old, so yeah.
I don't want to hear it, Rebecca. I really don't want to hear how old you're getting.
It's called, juvenile amnesia. It's
well, with me, it's called senile amnesia.
Terrific amnesia. Okay, but no, I want. I want to say that I made the overall experience that I do not really have the feeling that I was treated different because I'm a woman. I don't think that I would have been treated different, so much different, if I would have been a man, because I'm an outgoing person for the first reason, and then I'm also not, interested in having quarrels or discussions in a negative form. I also very focused on constructive, feedback and support and getting the community together long before all this bad publicity in the media started. So I was always a team player. I've always been. Of course, you have to draw a line somewhere and protect yourself from, tries of people to harm you. But I mean, this has not really been the case. But I have to say I made so wonderful experiences, and I really cherish my other colleagues, and they are really always, treated me respectful and as one of their own. I really felt like part, or I really start to feel like part of a clan, of a family. So this is really a very overall positive experience. I definitely can encourage women that are listening right now to join our community. It is a really, it can be a really fun and rewarding community. And if you meet face to face, you're seen as the person that you are, and all the differences, they don't matter anymore, and everything that you experience right now on Facebook, etc., if you're tired of it, then please step out of Facebook and into the shows and into the, private contact, because the private contact has always been such a positive experience for me, and I've met so many wonderful people and have made so many friendships and nice contacts and really had the pleasure of experiencing really, how can I say, high-quality conversations that change your mind, your perspective on things, and get you further in your goals. You have so much support. I remember that one breeder of us, he lost his animals 2 years ago due to a fire or something. So me and some others, we all donated animals to him.
Absolutely,
for free.
Yes.
And we didn't even expect something back. It was not like, I sent you this animal and just that you posted on Facebook and write, oh, thank you, Rebecca, I never got that. But that was not the purpose. The purpose was to help a colleague in need. So I think this is closing the circle. If you want to step in and you want to have fun, you really have to do it for the love of the animals and the love of the hobby, and then you will get rewarded tenth the time and things
and
you
the networking of people that you can trust, that you can relate to, people who are aligned with your thinking and your values and your ethics. Associate yourself with the positive.
Yeah, definitely. Because what you send out, you will attract. I always send it out this, okay, I'm open for discussion. I'm your friend. I'm not your enemy, and we can gain so much more if we just, cooperate and help each other out. And then I gathered exactly those kind of people around me, and other people feel attracted and join this circle too. So, you're acting. Every single one of you has the power to act in our community like a magnet. If you just believe in your own power, if you focus on negativity, that's what you will get, and it will be your choice. Not other people, doing you harm or something. You really need to get away of this perception because it doesn't bring you any further. You are responsible for your life. You're your own regisseur of your own movie. And if you want a happy ending, you need to, wish for a happy ending and send that message out. And you will get loving people around you and overall
but no,
positive
it goes
experience.
Farther than that. Rebecca, it does. It goes farther than that, because if that's if that's what you subscribe to, it helps the community.
Sure.
Let's say we have a caller on the line. Let's take a call. Barbara from Florida. You're live on Gecko Nation Radio.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good. How are you, Barbara?
I'm fine. I just want to say I am so enamored with the two women that you have on the show.
Aww.
I'm not a breeder. I'm a pet only kind of person, as you know. And those two, I didn't take their names down. I can't relate that, but right now Rebecca and Marcia. And Marcia, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're fantastic. And what a passion. I'm loving. Whoa, I'm loving everything that they have to say. And I'm very happy with their positive message. The reason I'm calling is I just wanted to put out just a couple of thoughts. One thing is I do agree the market, just from a sales perspective, is saturated. You have all right? So you have Craigslist, and you have people who have no business being in the business, and I say that quite bluntly and honestly. I know this just going around pet stores and the kids who work in the stores are breeding, and I want to breed this one with this one, and they don't know what they're doing, and all of a sudden they just don't know what they're doing. Okay, so that educational piece that everyone is pushing forward for, which is kind of the dagger or the thing that is separating the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. Sorry.
I would be good and ugly, but that's okay.
You're probably gorgeous. Silly girl.
She is.
Okay. I bet she is. Anyway, all right. So anyway, I just think, numero uno, educational resources are primo. Okay? I'm
hit
right
the nail
there
on the head,
with
Barbara.
that. Now, listen, I have been one of those creepy crawler people that have been harassed, so to speak, on some groups, so to speak. And, yes, I have learned through my mistakes. And much kudos to the group, because with David and a few others, I just took the knowledge I had, and I bought books, and I researched, and I did all that stuff. I still made mistakes. I
Absolutely.
still didn't know it whole.
Yes, we do.
I did not know the whole darn thing. Even today, for example, yesterday, actually, I have this little baby I got, and she was walking on her paper substrate, and she got stuck. I'm like, oh, my God, is there something wrong with her leg? And, I'm like, oh, my God. So I took a better look, and she had shed on one toe, and it got stuck to the paper substrate. This is micro stuff. This is stuff that unless you talk and unless you watch, unless you experience, you don't get it. Okay? Who the heck is going to watch the way I'm disabled, so I'm home all day long, and I watch everything. And all night long, I get up in the middle of the night. I'm like, what are they doing?
You live my life, Barbara.
I know.
David,
I'm
what do you
disabled
think about,
too, and I know exactly what you're saying. Yes.
No, I do. I'm a nurturer. I learned. I lost so many, and I bought from the pet store. I had the Cryptos from that thing, and she wiped out my whole group. The one thing. Yeah. Did I know?
Oh,
I did not know.
Tragic.
No, it was horrible.
That is a tragedy.
But, honestly, I didn't know until I got into the Gecko Nation group. To know and to understand, what could this be? And I talked to David. I'm like, he's like, send me a picture of the droppings or whatever. And I'm like, what kind of people do this? So
Barbara,
when you
what do you feel? Do you also feel that Facebook is sometimes not enough for people? Don't you think we would need a Gecko Nation radio personal meeting every year?
I'm disabled, so I'm lucky I get to the grocery store. So when it comes to social media, it's a good thing for me, and people like me. Okay, so I'm only speaking for a minority of people. I would love to go to a show or meet everybody face to face. I would love that, but I can't do that. Like I said, I'm lucky I get to the grocery store and get my food. So that's not an option for me. And, oh, by the way, rainbow mealworms has been a wonderful addition to my life.
Good.
I don't have to go to the pet store anymore.
Good.
I don't have to deal with them.
Yeah.
No, I get everything.
I've been using Rainbow exclusively for the better part of 20 years.
No, they're fantastic. I get everything.
There's no reason to switch if you're happy. So
I'm not switching.
Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Absolutely, I hear you loud and clear. But my message to all of you who are in the breeding group or leaving or coming and going and whatever, from a sales perspective, you have to somehow take the top of the notch people, get them all together. It's like there's some kind of price fixing. Do you understand? Right now we have a hungry market of people who are out of work. They think they're going to sell this disabled, dying gecko with all kinds of diseases and make $20, okay? This is
all
the
for $20, yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I don't know. I got burnt recently, and I can tell that story, but that is really not the purpose of this call. The purpose is to say that there is a hungry market. There are a lot of people going into this breeding thing thinking they're going to make a quick buck. It's like the gold mines. It's like this or whatever. It's like the stock market. It's like any other thing that looks promising, and they'll do anything to get the quick buck. So my message to all of you at the top notches of this market and this whatever industry, I don't know what to call it.
I just call it a community because that
community. I like that word. Okay.
Yeah, that encompasses, keepers, hobbyists, serious collectors, and breeders.
Yes. Okay. So for the community, I would like to say that you have to up the ante. You have to, when you're getting a bad apple or somebody's shooting you a bad cards or something, you don't shoot them the bad cards back, but you educate to let them know what is going on. For example, kids get into this, I got a leopard gecko from blah, blah, blah. Well, do you know what it costs to get the tank, the UTH, the hides, the this, the that, blah, blah, blah? Mm-hmm. It's $100 startup without the cost of the little guy or girl. You
are hitting the nail on the head in a lot of cases, Barbara.
Yeah. Exactly. And Barbara, this is what I'm telling all the people contacting me for a gecko. I mean, over here in Europe, it's more costly because we need to have terrariums. You have to pay approximately $300 to $400 US, okay, to get your setup. And I always tell people, you want a leopard gecko companion for not 1 year or 2 years, but up to 15 to maybe 20 or 30 years.
There you go.
So
yes.
It makes absolutely no sense to me to invest in $200, $300, $400 for the equipment and then looking for a $20 gecko. It's just so. Just for the price. I mean, sometimes it's just destiny. You find this gecko and then you don't matter how much it costs. But we're not talking about that kind of purchase here.
But
we're talking about the majority of people looking for the cheap gecko. And I think this is a really, really a point
I don't
that
know
needs
how
to
it
be
is in Germany, Rebecca, but here, we have two major big box pet suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they may sell their leopard geckos on sale for $19.95 US.
Yeah, it's the same over here. I mean,
we
also have the
Okay, but the thing is,
to the market.
What people don't understand is that those geckos are nothing but inventory items.
They don't get any health care. They can't.
Designed for you to spend $100, $200 on everything that you need, or what they're saying, everything that you need, to sustain this, leopard gecko that you just spent $20 on. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the point is that you have to understand, and this is business. Okay, mm-hmm. I'm not persecuting anybody or anything. Mm-hmm. They will get you to buy the fancy long-haired hamster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for $24.99. Oh, but they'll sell you this complete habitat complete with this and that and everything, and then you need a certain substrate. Then you need to buy a certain food and all that, and you walk out of there with, thinking you went to get a $25 hamster and spending $300. Okay, that is the marketing mentality. And again, none of you, please don't get me wrong. I understand that. But you know what? The bottom line is, why would you buy a living animal from a big box supply entity that specializes in dog food and overpriced habitats,
accessories?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where they get you. This is what Rebecca was saying earlier about marketing.
New folks don't know any better, though.
They don't. You know what?
No,
they don't. And we're talking about a lot of impulse purchases.
Absolutely.
We're talking about people going there and go, oh, my God, that little leopard gecko is so pretty.
Cute.
I'm so in love with it. And I know it's on sale for $19.95, and that's just great. They know nothing about it. So they hand them a care sheet, which is almost the same care sheet they have for every living thing they have in there, with a few words, adjusted. But what you do is you walk out of there with a $20 gecko that came from a gecko mill.
It might be dead in 2 weeks.
And they're not in good shape. They have parasitic infections and stuff. But what they'll do is they'll sell you $200 worth of stuff, including overhead heat and lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to step in here right now again.
Which you do not need for a leopard gecko.
Yeah. And I definitely want to stress the point that I get contacted. I mean, of course, again, I can't I can't say or claim that every hobbyist breeder is doing the best he can or whatever. As in every, category, you have good people and not so good people, but a tremendous amount of people that are hobbyist breeders contact me regularly, really for advice and for tips or give me feedback, that they read my articles and that they have still some questions and blah, 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 or even come with recommendations. Can you please, write something about this and that? I don't have the time. I feel it's necessary. Can you please do it? And sometimes I do if I have the time. So I have the really strong feeling that a lot of the small-scale hobbyist breeders are really doing the best they can. I know here over in Germany, parasites are a topic taken very, very seriously. The majority of animals here are getting tested before breeding. The youngs are getting tested occasionally or regularly. So I really have the feeling when I look around that the majority of animals that I see, I mean, this is just, again, a personal view from hobbyist breeders, they are in pretty good shape and they are cared for. And that, I mean, again, we are talking about circles inside a community. This circle that I see is a totally different circle of people that, you know, some colleagues see that work in the animal shelters. They also are right in their, you know, perspective of things.
Yeah.
It's just that those are different reptile breeders. Those are not people like you and me, because you and me, we know our limits. We don't incubate much more than we can care for, and we don't give away our animals, and we don't sell animals to people. We have the strong feeling, or at least one doubt, that they could give away the animals to an animal shelter.
You're right. I remember one particular show. Actually, it was one of the first shows I ever did. I like interrogated the people that were looking to buy my geckos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same over here.
And I turned down sales. For example, there was this one woman that says, I'm looking for a gecko. I had one for about 6 weeks, and then it died. And then so I got another one, and 4 weeks later, it died.
Okay.
And then I got another one, and it lasted 6 to 8 weeks, and then it died.
Yeah, and that's what I really... I'm happy to be discussing here today. I mean, you and David and so many other breeders really do care, and it would be really great if we can achieve that, you know, there are different people in our community, and that there is, you know, a notifying amount of people really dedicated to their animals and not interested in making a quick sale or selling animals at all. I mean, I have had many seasons where I just bred for myself, for the own stock, and for trade. I mean, I'm not making any, you know...
this
really
was
not
a reflection
about
your passion and your interest in, you know, what the outcome would be on pairing.
And I know many other people over here in Europe who are as much, you know, serious as I am. So I really, and I know so many people in US who are too. So this is what I'm really proud to say, that I have made the experience personally that there are so many people around who really do care, and I really hope we can raise the numbers even higher and make a change, because it's definitely deserved and definitely needed.
Yes, what Barbara is saying is that, or at least this is what I'm hearing from you, Barbara, is that you know, if you do business with a company who, who will sell you animals at discount rates only to, you know, upsell based on everything that you need. Why? Okay, I guess, and this isn't pointed towards you, Barbara, at all. What I'm saying is, why would you buy a living creature from a company that specializes caging and feed?
Well, because I think people are attracted to the cheaper prices, especially when they're new hobbyists. They think, oh, okay, well, I can buy a cheap one and
they're looking at the bottom
and how
line.
Okay,
is that? But how much money do they spend before they walk out the door?
How can you even have a good conscience and consider yourself responsible?
Can I just say something, guys?
Yes, please.
I think that everything that you're saying is totally on the money, and I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I'm understanding it, because after 3 years of buying dwarf hamsters, that's where I started.
Okay.
And beta fish.
Okay.
Well, I have parrots. I do know how to take care of those, and now I know how to take care of everyone. I started to understand what was going on in the pet industry, and I was mortified, okay? You know, little old me. I never had a pet in my life. I'm 57 years old. I never had pets when I was little, so I didn't know.
Let me ask you this, Barbara. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I started out with I had parrots, and they were fine. You do have to pay a price for your parrot, okay? So I made the mistake of feeding my first one, I don't want to say it, but bad food, okay? I'm not going to say what kind of food it was.
Inappropriate
sometimes
diet.
the pet food is not up to par.
Right.
And so she died prematurely.
I'm sorry.
For 7 years. Yeah, she was my first pet, and she was so intelligent, and it was wonderful. So I adopt now. So I adopted 2 other ones, and the other one, I adopt disabled ones most of the time. So they always have something wrong with them. So their lifespan is a little cut short. So I did lose my other parrot. He was a beautiful lovebird, and he had neurological damage. So I lost him. Okay, all right. No more needed to be said about that. But I do believe the food is tainted. All right, let's leave that alone. All right. So then I went into Dwarf Hamsterville, thinking, oh, this is kind of fun. This is cool. I bought every habitat. You know, I was one of those people. I went in there. Like, yeah, I'll take that. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. What is that? Yeah, I'll take that. Put it in there. Who cares, you know? And then one died after another died. And then I started looking up on the Internet, doing my research, because I'm into research. And I started seeing what's going on. And I started treating the animals. And this is what I said. I put a post on my Facebook. I said, I'm keeping these kids alive. I'm not giving them a life. After, you know, if you have a dwarf hamster, which is the worst thing you can get for a kid because it dies. It dies. It has a 2-year lifespan at the best. Okay? So that's how I got indoctrinated to the pet industry. I can't even tell you how many I bought. Who had tumors, I got ringworm from the dwarf hamster. I got everything under the sun. But I learned. After I fell down, I got up. I fell down, I got up. I learned everything. And I said, oh, my God, what a bullshit industry. How horrible is this? And and thank God for Gecko Nation. I say this all the time because I don't have to go there anymore. I don't have to go there. I go online. I buy everything online, and I'm done. I don't have to bother with those pet stores anymore because that was a bad deal. I look in there. I get sick when I go in there. You know, you see the cats. You see the this and that, the other thing, you know. And old leopard gecko, Petco is, I'm sorry, but they're like one of the worst. You know, and they're saying, what is a fancy leopard gecko? Fancy? Oh, wow. So we're going to charge $60 for this instead of the $25 or $30. So what I'm saying is I got indoctrinated the hard way by losing a lot of pets I cared about and learning about things I didn't, things I needed to know about.
I agree with some of what you guys are saying, but I have to step in and
Whoa,
just speak
Tim's
from...
alive.
I am. I'm here. Well, Dave, you said you wanted to turn it over to the ladies tonight, and we've certainly done that. But
that's what's happening if you put 3 women together. We're just losing yourself in conversation. I'm really sorry.
But Marcia, in terms of what you said, from my personal experience, I worked at the Gourmet Rodent, and I saw that they genuinely put a lot of care and effort into the animals and to provide the optimal environment for them. And I certainly think that a lot of that optimal care is lost by the time it gets into the customer's hand. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's quite fair to put so much of that blame on the supplier, maybe as much as the the retailer.
Sure. I mean, it's everybody's responsibility. I mean,
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, because I had it on mute. And I couldn't remember if I was on or off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to, like, you know.
So I've worked there personally. So I've worked at a couple other, reptile breeding facilities, and they put, they have the passion that we all have, and similar backgrounds that we've come from, and I certainly think that a lot of that is lost, and I just don't think it's quite fair to label them maybe as a mill, like a gecko producing mill.
I understand.
Well, I understand and I appreciate you saying that. That's important. But I remember the days when gourmet rodent, and again, I'm not saying anything against Bill and Marcia, I guess. I remember when they produced 99% of what they were producing to Petco was cryptoladen. That was the days I came from. Again, I'm not criticizing. I'm saying that this is the way it was, and it had to do with lack of understanding and education. And if they've turned that around and are still in business and proud of it, I see Bill Brandt at every show I've been at, and he's very proud of the strides that they've made as a supplier to major big box, retail stores.
I think the pain point of this whole discussion was not, maybe it drifted a little bit away, but to my personal feeling and my personal opinion, the whole discussion was about pricing on the animal. I mean, if you go into, it doesn't matter if you go into, a pet shop or to a breeder, if you're just, looking for the cheapest animal possible, no matter where you buy, I think this attitude is, providing you such a huge potential for failures that it is safer to say it does not make sense, investing so much in the equipment and then just purchasing the animal on the price alone. Please use your common knowledge, look around, look at how healthy the animals appear to you, look how knowledgeable the staff or the private breeder or whatever person, you contact appears to you, and then I think you will be much safer for your decision.
Yes,
I think this is the point that we had, and that I personally want to continue this discussion now, because I think we are getting a little astray from the original topic here.
May I just make a closing point?
Sure, Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys and girls. I just wanted to say that providing educational resources, as in DVDs or a membership, or taking the whole concept or community, as I guess Rebecca said, which is a nice term, taking it up a notch, make it more exclusive.
Raise
the
bar.
Thing.
Raise the bar. There you go.
Absolutely. Because it's too damn low right now. And I have been through the ranks, and I've been through the low things, and I've lost everybody. And, I'm an older person. I'm not a kid. I'm not 12 years old. Like, oh, my God, this is my first pet. Oh,
Barbara, I'm over 60 years old. Okay,
Good
I understand.
Good for you.
And I'm still doing it, yeah.
Good girl. Yes. Go girl. But I'm just saying, it just, I'm a newcomer to all this stuff. Like I said, I never had a pet in my life until I was, 8 years ago, 49, I think, 48. My first pet. And I love them. I just love my little geckos, and I love everybody. I have a parrot. He's a little nutty. He's an adoptee. I have the dwarf hamster that I'm treating for tumors. It is what it is. But you learn as you go along. But My message to all of you, get together, the top-notch people, and take it up a notch, just like they do in big business when they do price fixing. Do what you have to do. Get creative, get innovative, and get educational, because people do not understand what is going on with this whole pet thing. They don't.
Well, we could do a whole show on that, but yeah, I
really,
agree with you,
I would
Barbara.
love a show on that one. I would really put my 2 cents in there. But really, that's what's needed here, and the educational and more exclusiveness. Not a self-righteousness, not a I'm better than you feeling, but just like you don't want to go there, okay? It's a marketing thing. You have to, got to get creative. It is a problem. It's a problem. I got burned. I put it on the Gecko Nation the Facebook thing. I met someone on Gecko Nation, and I was buying a gecko, and this kid, which I knew had a gut feeling, she didn't know how to ship. She didn't know how to do nothing. So I'm like, all right, ship through those people, ship through that. And then I found out, I talked to Reptiles Express. I talked to the people. I found out what's involved in shipping a gecko. I mean, this is no, you don't just ship a gecko.
It's no
don't
joke.
Do that. No, it's not.
No joke.
There's a lot of stuff to go through.
There is an experience level there is, yeah.
I lost my money. I told the kid, I said, Merry Christmas. I said, just go away. You took the money on PayPal. I'm not going to get the gecko. And just go away, all right, lady? Just go away. You're making me sick, okay? All right. And no harm done. It's just, happens in life, okay? You win some, you lose some. So I didn't win that one. But,
Rebecca, as you were saying, what are some of the positive things that you see that we're doing in the hobby now, and what do you see, where we'd like to take it,
right?
What
do we need to focus on? Yeah.
But guys, I'm going back to the regular side. I wish you all well. I wish you Merry Christmas.
Okay,
Happy
thanks,
holidays.
Barbara.
And I'm going back to the other part. Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
Barbara.
Bye.
Thanks
Love
for calling in, Barbara.
You're welcome. Love.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Tim. What was your question? And who was it for?
For both Rebecca and Marcia, as we're getting to the end of the show here, I'd just like you guys to talk a little bit about, some of the positive things we're doing in the hobby now, and where we need to continue to take the positive things that we're doing.
Oh, well, I have the feeling that we've already, addressed many positive things or potential in this show. So far, I'm quite confident. We have covered a lot of important things, and I think the main focus is to stay, what Barbara already said, stay innovative, stay passionate, and stay focused on the animal's well-being, and then you can't really go wrong. Then follow your gut feeling. Don't follow what the market seems to dictate you. If you can't sell 20, then have 10. You know what I mean? It's not so much about the others than you think it is. It is about you and your perception. If I would have listened to everybody telling me everything, I mean, they literally told me when I started leopard geckos in 2007 with Martina. So don't go into breeding leopard geckos. You won't ever succeed. I mean, think about that. Just think about that. If I would have followed everybody's, opinions and beliefs without following my own gut feeling, I wouldn't have gone anywhere in my life. And this is not just for geckos. It is, and there's a huge difference between following your gut feeling and respecting, life and ethics and just doing whatever you want. I never did what I wanted to do, and without really carefully considering how it would affect others. And this is, the point that's really important. I think this is what we can all do to make this community better and work and make it more positive. And it's such a, from an own experience, it is only rewarding. I've never experienced the way I was going as other than rewarding. I mean, I focused on the well-being of my animals. I couldn't do it alone because, splitting the stock with two different people and focusing on the same projects and helping out each other was so much more rewarding than doing everything on my own. And we've come so far. I've made a complete turnaround when I first started from just following what others breed to, actually searching and holding old valuable bloodlines from the past. I'm not, what I do is not focused on breeding the next new stuff. It's focused on holding the old things. And
you and I are on the same page as far as that goes. Yeah. So you and I have never been morph makers. We have been the ones that focus on a certain physical or genetic trait and trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least that's
not breeding this and that and this and that and this and that and hoping that the odds will be in your favor, and then you wind up with the next new morph that you can make millions on and laugh all the way to the bank.
Exactly.
The odds of that happening are like next to nothing.
I think you and I, we have many animals that accompanied us right from the start and that are still in our collection. I, for my part, only incubate what I know I can put into caring hands. And, of course, our numbers in Europe are much smaller than yours in U.S., so I cannot compare in numbers in any way. But, what even that is the fact that makes me even more, proud of what we have achieved with so few animals, getting this consistency in some lines. And this was not due of thinking, I'm better than others, or I have to push away others, or I have to do what the market dictates. It was all about, love for the animals and caring for people and teaming up and being just trying to be a nice person.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So that's what I can give you also, Tim, as an answer for your question. That's what's all about, and that's what's really pushing you and giving you space to fly.
Indeed.
I definitely agree with you, and that's certainly something I've been trying to do with every gecko that I
you don't know how this does my heart good. Yes.
Into new keepers' hands. Marcia, do you have anything to add to that as well?
Well, it's my perspective comes from 20 years of doing this. I have to admit that I am not the best marketing person out there. I'm just not. We'll leave that to the Ron Trimpers of the world, that are geniuses when it comes to marketing. But I see the gecko community and even the reptile community right now as it stands, especially with all kinds of, laws and, I don't know, it makes my mind want to explode. Not only with how much information there is, but how much aggravation it gives me. But, the thing is that, yes, all I can say is for people who are beginning in this hobby and or business, glean as much information as you can. And yes, a lot of it is ambiguous, which means that it might be contradictory or it might be, but the thing is that the more information you get and the wiser you are, the more you can extrapolate from everything that's available out there into something that makes sense to you. But what a lot of people don't realize is if I say I keep my geckos this way and Rebecca says I keep my geckos this way and David says I keep my geckos this way and there may be some differentiality between that. It doesn't mean there's a right and wrong way. It just means that's what's working for us.
Right.
That's what works for me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It does. It does, definitely.
Okay, my information may not be bogus, and neither is anybody else's, but what I'm saying is that somebody who has the passion and the intelligence and everything else that it's going to take to be a future gecko breeder will take into consideration all of this different array of perspectives and information, and be able to extrapolate one common denominator out of all of this information.
And also, I think what I would like to quickly add is if you're, as a beginner or advanced person, searching for information, you absolutely have to consider who is, giving you this information.
Right.
I mean, don't believe everything you just read. I mean, I can claim you everything in the internet because I don't have to prove that the sky is purple. I can claim everything I want. And so can do everybody else. So please, if you're getting information from people like Marcia or, all the other breeders or myself, people that, have contributed already to the community, that have written articles, that have been in interviews, that have whatever, a lot of positive feedback. I mean, I'm very, very sure that, a lot of the good people have a lot of, good reputation, not only from people who got animals, but also from other people who, just requested or something. If you're if it takes you a few minutes to filter, to type in a question regarding a leopard gecko matter, I mean, it's not too much to ask you for 2 minutes again to search. In Facebook, most of the people are, writing with their names. Just do a quick research and check back who is this person that is doing this claim. And if it's a respectable breeder, then the chances are very high that this information is accurate. And if it's from just someone, I mean, there is no, the best option would be to, maybe ask other people for their opinion as well. And if it's right, then you will have 9 people from 10 say, yes, we all agree, it's not good keeping a leopard gecko on sand.
There you go. You're right. Okay, it's just a matter of going through the power of elimination from the information you get, as well as, and I want to focus on that, the information that you do get that is a common denominator between all of these resources. Okay, so you have to think for yourself as well. If you're, you have to think. You have to think for yourself.
This is so important. I mean, and this is also closing the circle on what we said an hour ago. Don't, count on other people doing your homework. You are your own, your own, master of your own game in life. You decide over the well-being of your animals, and your level of responsibility, and a responsible owner is looking for information besides the internet as well. I mean, he's surely checking out some forums or reliable sources, and not only, searching in Facebook and then dropping it if he doesn't find immediately what he's searching for. So I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening are doing this already, and I'm very proud of them, and I can definitely encourage them to please continue this, and also educate people who are not aware that for some information you need some time to get them, but it's definitely worth the wait and the work into, because it will directly influence your animal's well-being, and that's what stands. And I think I can say that really clearly, and this is the point that's most important for me today in this show. The animal's well-being has to stand above everything else.
Absolutely. You got it. You hit the nail right on the head, Rebecca. You have to be able to make informed decisions.
Absolutely.
And this is what's protecting you. Also financially, from many losses, from many decisions you will deeply regret, and from other people claiming you as not a responsible person. This is the first step, and you're never too old and never too young to learn. I mean, I've started as a kid informing myself because my parents won't buy me an animal because they told me you're too young, you can't take care of them. You have to prove it to us. And I mean, not everybody is obviously so lucky having such considerate parents, but that was what really, what really drove me, what really, passioned me. And I was like, I'll going to this children, library, and I'll pick up every book that I'll find about hamsters and birds and fishes and whatever, and torture my parents with needless facts about what a guppy needs to survive and whatever. But the point is, I did my homework and I loved it. I totally loved it, and this is what it's all about, Get the passion, just get into it. Don't see it as a work. If you see it as a work, as a nasty thing to look into information, then it's the wrong job for you keeping an animal. You have to be like I was always seeing myself as like a Ghostbuster. I was hunting informations. And then I was, it was like this Pokemon game. I got you, it's fine. So that's what it's all about. If you see it from this perspective, you might enjoy even reading books or e-books in the future. So it's all a matter of perspective. Everybody can change. It's never too late. And you know what? You have nothing to lose and everything to win.
Everything to gain.
That exactly ties in with something that I wanted to say that kind of brings back how you guys were talking about market saturation earlier. I agree with you guys in terms of if you say that everyone kind of in our community, with all the geckos that we produce and try to sell to each other, yes, if you label the market that way, I would say it is saturated. But if at the same time, if you look at every young child that has the financial means and the interest and the proper education on the care and everything else, and if you look at that worldwide, I think we're not even touching the market. You are absolutely right. Mm-hmm. With the proper education, there's so many more people that already have the interest, and if they knew what we know, they would be doing this also.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. This is the future. These people are not something for experienced breeders or, whatever, to roll their eyes and go, oh, my God, here we go, another newbie or another, I look at it, I get excited when somebody is, wanting to learn and get on board. This is the future of her petaculture, and it is the future of just our beloved geckos. But the thing is that people need to be able to make informed decisions. In other words, you're making a decision on whether or not to buy an animal or keep an animal or put it on sand or put it, you know, these are decisions that each individual has to make. And it would only be my wish and my hope that all of these people would make informed decisions. And even if it means wading through a bunch of ambiguous, information. But you know what? Go to the source. Go to the source. Don't just read something on a forum and say that's the gospel. Go to the source and say, if someone doesn't have the time of day for you, then check them off your list. Otherwise,
and send all of your "What Morph Is This" emails to Dave.
Yeah, right, there you go. What morph is this? Oh, well, you know what? You listen. 20 years of what morph is this, and what do I get if I cross this with that? If I had $1 for every one of those inquiries, I could retire. I could have retired 10 years ago, but
take
that's
a nickel
okay.
For everyone.
A nickel would even be better.
Yeah, I can do it on a nickel. I can retire. So, we'll see. All right, well, let's end it there, ladies. We could go all night. You two are firecrackers. You guys, you ladies are great for
aren't we
for this
though?
topic. Yes,
we're awesome, aren't we, Rebecca?
Well,
we're awesome because we love what we do.
Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely my two favorite women breeders out there. That's for sure. And that's
thank you.
I'm very honored to be in the community with both of you. And it's great that we've become friends. And I don't know, some of us that can get along really well, like us, and it's a good thing. I think more and more people are starting to realize that we can all get
hopefully.
along.
And those
little by little,
relationships, believe it or not, for the newcomers, you might get the impression you can only succeed if you're drawing out your elbows and do it on your own. But guess what? You just entered the world of pack animals. So it's no fun being a stray wolf if you can have so much more fun in a pack. Because,
exactly.
There's personal relationships, and that's how I see it. That's how I've always seen the community, and that's what's definitely coming true in my case. I mean, I'm seeing myself as just a member of a great pack. So, honestly, those personal relationships are the experiences that last. I mean, it's always great to hatch this one baby you're excited about, blah, 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 but all of this is worth nothing. And I can say this out of personal experience. It's worth nothing if you don't have some true friends to share your joy and to push you when you're in a situation that might look like the end of the world. If you don't know who to call, if you're in the middle of the night, an animal, is this, not looking so good, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know the best vet around.
Listen, you're right, Rebecca.
It's your friends that
when I lose an animal, I grieve.
Yeah.
I grieve. A lot of people have a hard time understanding that, but I grieve.
And there's
my heart is empty,
forget.
but it's always nice to be able to, share that that intimate feeling of grief and loss.
Yeah, and I mean, you will remember every one of your animals, but there are some that stick around like persons. They never leave your head, and I had one especially that is always with me, always. I mean, that was the one, maybe, the once in a lifetime gecko, I don't know. I hope to get another one one day, and I love them all to death, but some of my favorite, luckily, most of my favorites are still alive, and they're not so old for their 7 or 8 years, but, there is always, a time where you really need a hand. So we are not designed by nature, and we are part of this planet. I'm sorry if I sound here a bit, I don't know, biological or something, but humans, in the end, we're just, we are not totally separated from this planet. I know we always want to consider ourselves as the top of the top of the top, and maybe in some points we are, but anyway, if you break it down to the bottom, we are one part of a really big puzzle.
Oh my God,
and we are from nature through millions of years. Just consider that. We are not designed for solitaire hunters or whatever. We are pack animals. We're designed that way. This is why humans and wolves are so greatly together, because they're so similar. And I mean, I've actually had the chance, to be in contact with people and working on a study in Institute for cognition, animal cognition. So, of course, I can say that, we have so many similarities to pack animals, and just consider for 1 second, consider how much effort it costs you to do everything alone and go your way and always speak against people. It's so much easier, fun, and rewarding, and better for your animals and for the whole scene and the animals of friends. It's a self-rewarding system. It's so much easier and so much fun. Just joining sides. We're all in this together. You will sooner or later reach a point where you will depend on others' help. You always need twice in life. So
that's why I call it community.
Yeah.
Let me say something.
That's why I call it community.
For those new folks out there that are listening,
I hope this was positive, Tim. I really tried my best.
Let me say something real quick. For all the new folks out there that are thinking about getting into the community, you don't have to get into the community by bashing others or by being critical or just being a jerk. You can do it. You can do it by being respectful to your elders and people that have been in this longer than you. You don't have to, make a name for yourself in a negative way. That never works.
Yeah.
You will not gain respect that way.
Yeah.
You may gain some followers, but they're all going to be like that. They're not going to get you anywhere. So
that kind of behavior and attitude cripples us.
Right, and it makes us all look bad. And you know what? It'll just drive you further away from the people that really do matter in this. And trust me, try to be yourself and be kind to others and be respectful. That's the key.
Treat others as you want to be treated.
Mhm.
Right.
That's
it. Okay.
And you will receive nothing but good fortune. It's like that.
Nobody says you have to like everybody.
Right.
Nobody says
that.
Be
respectful. You can still be respectful.
But the thing is, if you can step back for a moment and think of the one permanent truth in this community is that we all love our animals, okay? And forget the other part of it that's aggravating. Focus on one permanent truth, and that is we all share our love and passion for these beautiful, gentle creatures.
Very good. All right, well, let's wrap it up, ladies, all right? It's been a great show. We've gone well into overtime. I'm kind of falling asleep. we could keep going. I know it's very late for you too, Rebecca. And
the sun might be coming up where Rebecca is now.
Thanks for staying up with us,
almost.
Rebecca.
But this is winter solstice, which means tonight is the longest night of the year. So starting tomorrow, all the days will start becoming longer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's true. It's also the longest night Earth has ever seen, scientifically speaking. So as far as the rotations go or whatever. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Marcia.
Well,
and
thank
Rebecca.
you for having us on.
Merry Christmas
always
and Happy
a lot
New Year,
of fun.
ladies.
I definitely want to thank all of you. It has been a great pleasure and a real honor doing this show. And I hope we contributed to a better, positive view. And if you find, as a listener, that there are not so many differences between men and women in this hobby, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And my over experience is a very positive one. The only thing that that I see as a drawback is carrying heavy stuff on the shows. So if this is the only thing I can, really complain about, I count myself really happy as a woman in this wonderful herping society.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, thank you again.
Okay.
We'll let you go, and we'll do it again in 2015, ladies.
I think that sounds great. I hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas. And if Christmas is not the focus of this holiday that's coming up, I wish you a happy holiday. And I guess it's going to be next year in about a week and a half, right?
That's correct. We're going to have another.
So that means that all of us with websites have to go through and do our copyright changes from. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and then I hope and pray that 2015 brings everyone a sense of peace in the entire world. Every year is better than the last, so let's focus on that. And happy, and safe New Year's.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, ladies. We'll do it again in 2015.
Sounds
Have a good night.
Thank
good night.
you very much.
All right. Awesome show. I don't know, Tim, how did we do tonight?
Yeah, it was a short one, just like you said, right?
Yeah, we were only supposed to do a short show tonight. Well, Rebecca said she didn't want to do a late one because it was so late there and she has to be up early, but then it went into overtime. So I kind of predicted, though. I said, when we get these ladies talking, they're just going to keep rolling, and boy, was I right. You two are firecrackers. You gals can talk, which is cool. But yeah, I think they did a great job tonight. We really got some good information out. A lot of good feelings out there, good vibes. And Tim, this is our last show of 2014, man.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, as we said. And again, come check us out at White Plains in 2015, and hopefully I will get at least a few pictures of some of the stuff I have available that I'll be bringing to the show up on the Gecko Nation Marketplace. But if I don't, make sure to come by and check out the table. Again, I'll be at John Heiser's table right next to the Cutting Edge Herp table. And take care, Dave.
Take care, Tim. I'll be in touch with you during the week. Thanks again for everything you do for the show and for coming on board, and look forward to a great year in 2015 with you.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye now. All right, folks, hope to see you at the show. I'll be there, too, of course. My table is right across from BHB, Brian Barczyk's table. So stop by, say hello. Excuse me. I'm going to play the outro, come back with my closing remarks. Hang tight.
Gecko Nation Radio is a David Fine Geckos creation and production. You can visit the show's Facebook page at Gecko Nation Radio. I also have a great family-friendly group on Facebook called Gecko Nation. Apply for membership today. The jazz music you heard tonight was generously donated and created by Jeremy Turgeon of J&D Reptiles. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for the great musical pieces. You can check out Jeremy at J&D Reptiles on YouTube and on Facebook. And a very special thank you to our news anchor, graphic designer, and audio tech, Steve Barker. All the graphics, audio sponsor plugs, and music overlays were assembled by Steve. Check out Steve on YouTube at BC Barker Creations. He has some terrific videos for the herp community with amazing geckos and snakes.
Please support the U.S. Herpetocultural Alliance and USARC. Gecko Nation Radio is proud to support both of these organizations. Please donate to USARC so that they have the funds needed to legally protect pet owners' rights nationwide. You can donate to the USARC Legal Defense Fund at www.usarc.org. If you would also like to learn about advocacy and how you can take action on a state and local level, please subscribe to the U.S. Herpetocultural Alliance newsletter and blog at www.usherp.org.
All right, folks, my closing remarks are this. 2014 has been a roller coaster of a year, and aren't they all? I want to thank everyone seriously from the bottom of my heart for making this show so successful and for making the group so successful. When I first started this, I had a vision to the best that I could, and also to bring on the best people that I thought could help me accomplish something. And with Steve, Barker, and Tim, I think we're definitely accomplishing something great here on Gecko Nation Radio. And I often wonder about how I feel about running the group on Facebook. It's kind of a I don't know. It can be trying at times, but I feel that overall it's a huge positive thing, and it's doing very, very well. I think we're over 4,000 members now. And I just hope that it continues to be one of the best groups on Facebook. That was my goal, too, when I started that. I said to myself, I want to make the best possible gecko group that I can, or reptile group. And I don't know. I'm not trying to compete with any other groups. I'm only trying to compete with what I did yesterday. So, and it's all of you out there that are part of this whole thing. Now, that's the key. That's the glue that holds everything together. I mean, some of us get along so well, and some of us are really doing incredible things in the community. And I feel like I'm serving in an army with some really just honorable and good folks. Some of these breeders like Rebecca, Marcia, John Scarborough, and others, so many others, and a lot of new folks coming in. You guys are really important to this whole thing, and let's do it together. Let's be cool with each other. Let's be respectful to each other, and let's help one another. And let's make this. It's all up to us to make this community or this industry whatever it's going to be. So let's do our best, and be as positive as we can. I mean, as bad as things get in the world, there's a few things that will always matter to us: our family, our friends, and our animals, our pets. Okay, and if we have that basis that we really love our pets and our friends and our family, then those are those three things that shouldn't be a negative part of our life. They should always be a positive part of our life. That give us solace and give us just give us a break from the negative parts of our reality. Okay, I'm not going to try to get too deep about it, but these things are a positive part of our lives. So let's keep them that way. And I wish you all the very best in 2015 in your projects, in your lives. I seriously hope everything goes better for the world, and looking forward to bringing you all another year of Gecko Nation Radio. All right, folks, have a good night. And we talk about my sponsors for a minute, and I'll play a cool song and take us out. Dale's Breed of Dragons has been with us since day one, and I want to do a special thank you to Mario and Dale Delator. They've been growing a very successful reptile supply business on the East Coast, and they started up very small only a few years ago, and they have grown by leaps and bounds. And that's partly because of Mario's good business sense, but it's also because they're just good people, and they do good by their customers, and they have great prices on their reptile supplies. So if you need anything from Exoterra, Zoomed, Rapashi, Exoterra, I think I said that, all different types of foggers, misters, vitamins, whatever you need for your reptiles, Dale's Breed of Dragons is going to get it to you cheaper, okay, even if you have to have it shipped. So check them out, dalesbreedofdragons.com. If there's something special that you're looking for, you can also find them on Facebook, okay? Message them. They'll take care of you. They're also selling FlexWatt heat tape now, the good stuff, not the imitation. Genuine FlexWatt is the safest, most advanced, and most energy-efficient heat tape in the world. So whatever you're paying for heat tape, if you're buying FlexWatt, it's going to save you money in the long run on your electric bill, and it's going to be the safest. All right, and we got something really cool coming up for FlexWatt in 2015. Stay tuned for that. Really big advancement. All right. Also, abdragons.com, best dubia breeder, and really high-quality dubia, fed really good food, great prices. They use the code GECKO, all in caps at checkout, get 5% off your order, abdragons.com. Gecko Boa Reptiles, geckoboa.com. That's John Scarborough. It's an honor serving with you, John, and I'm very happy to call John a friend and also to be in a community with a breeder such as him. So check out Gecko Boa Reptiles. Got just amazing leopard gecko morphs, wild types, and some obscure species, and just an honorable, honest person to deal with. Let's see. Supreme Gecko, Wally Kern, another great person in the community. Does a lot, gives back. Just successfully completed his 12 Days of Christmas promotion, giving back to the community. Awesome. Another great person doing positive stuff for us. Check out Supreme Gecko. It's got cresties, got all kinds of cool micro geckos, and supplies too. So supremegecko.com. Ohio Gecko, Mr. Thad. He runs geckoforums.net as well. Check out Ohio Gecko for tangerines, all kinds of cool fat tails. He pioneered the Starburst fat tail morph, and he's got some really cool projects going on. So check out ohiogecko.com. Rainbow Mealworms. Rainbow Mealworms is part of the glue that holds this whole community together. Many of us use rainbow mealworms exclusively for our insects, our feeder insects. Jillian Spence is just a doll to deal with and is a master at customer service. So check out rainbowmealworms.net. They're the biggest worm farm in the world, and they didn't get there by doing things wrong. ReptilesExpress.com is the best shipping company to use if you're shipping your animals anywhere in the country. Check out ReptilesExpress.com and ask for Debbie Price if you're new to shipping. She will help you through it. And she's always there making sure your packages get where they're going. Love Debbie. Oh, Ron Tremper. What can I say? Ron Tremper is the godfather of leopard geckos. Another amazing person in our community. He's been doing this for over 30 years. And if it wasn't for Ron, we wouldn't have many of these morphs that we're working with today, such as bandits, tangelos, pastel raptors, all kinds of cool stuff, tangerine tremper albinos, emerines. So check out leopardgecko.com, and he's got an amazing app called Leopard Gecko Pro and Leopard Gecko Care, as well as a few others that you'll find through his website, leopardgecko.com. All right. Let's see. Last but not least, Mr. Darrell and Kate Burton from Longhorn Geckos. Check them out on Facebook, Longhorn Geckos. And they'll be doing a website, I believe, soon, too. Darrell and Kate are new breeders on the scene, him and his son, Darrell and his son, Kate. And they have spared no expense and invested in top-quality genetics, and they'll be producing some amazing stuff, super tangelos, pastel raptors, white and yellow stuff, nice bells, just a wide array of just awesome stuff. So check out Longhorn Geckos on Facebook. All right, folks. I wish you all a very happy New Year, and whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope it's a great one. And if you don't celebrate holidays, that's fine too. And we'll see you next year in 2015.